and ascertain exactly where, how, and to what extent ignorance has crept in, what and where the roots are, and position Islam occupies at the time. If these phrases remind you of anything, that's good. Scheme of reformation, to determine exactly where and to strike the blow and to break the power of non-Islam. Enable Islam to take hold of life as a whole. Estimation of one's limitations and resources. To weigh and to estimate the power at one's disposal and determine a line of action to bring about reforms. Intellectual revolution, to shape the ideas, beliefs, and moral viewpoints of the people into an Islamic mold. Reform the system of education and revive the Islamic sciences and attitudes in general. Practical reforms, to eradicate evil customs, cleanse morals, regenerate the spirit of practicing the Sharia, and prepare capable of men for Islamic leadership. This is all of them important, but ijtihad. Ijtihad is an intellectual jihad type. To comprehend the fundamental principles of religion, judge contemporary culture and its trends from the Islamic viewpoint, and determine the changes to be effected in the existing patterns of social life under the Sharia, with a view to attaining its ends and enabling Islam to assume world leadership in the reformed social setup. Defense of Islam, to encounter political forces seeking to suppress and finish Islam and break the power in order to make Islam a living force. Revival of the Islamic system, to take authority from the hands of non-Islam and practically reestablish government on the system described as caliphate after the pattern of prophethood. The people who were just running around, the caliphate movement established the caliphate, but it wasn't on the pattern of the prophet, peace be upon him. It was on the pattern of ignorance. Universal revolution, not to rest content with establishing the Islamic system in one or more countries already inhabited by Muslims, but to initiate such a strong universal movement as may spread the reformative and revolutionary message of Islam among mankind at large and enable Islam to become a predominant cultural force in the world and capture the moral, intellectual, and political leadership of mankind. Now that's saying a lot. That's really, that takes us back to somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, a land that I heard about somewhere in a lullaby. That sounds like dreamland. Right, all of this stuff, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like that is impossible. But what we're going to do, you can see that we started off as archivists, documentalists, chroniclers, historians, educators, trainers, that we have been watching this and observing this all the time. Now, things come in your mind like willpower, strong-mindedness, fortitude, self-control, self-command, self-mastery, self-government, tenaciousness, or something you hold on with your hind teeth, self-denial, constancy, purposefulness, perseverance, endurance, to endure, permanence. All of this, we even say that our group should get the Resistance Award for 2014. That is an award for people who, it says, This award is given to the person or group who faces the greatest challenges and obstacles, changes these obstacles into opportunities, resists single-handedly the combined forces of Western Zionism and American imperialism. That's a pretty tough coup. So, what's our mission so far? So we shall teach the world how this stuff is done. Through what's called situational leadership, we will rise to the occasion. When I say we, that means all of us. We will rise to the occasion of our time. We will outgrow oppressors and become competition. Oh, do I have this thing on? I don't even have my thing on. But I'm sure it's coming out pretty good.
Yes, acoustics in here are good.
Yeah. Excuse us for our little pause and break. Now, strategic innovation or situational leadership calls for, first, you're oppressed. Second, you become competition for the system. And the third go around, guess what? You become a predator. You're chasing them down. They don't know it, but you're on their case. Strategic alliances mean to develop cooperation with other people. Strategic innovation means to move from oppressed to competitor to predator. What are the characteristics of Islamic liberation struggle in North America? Whatever they are, our strategy and tactics emerge out of those characteristics. Let me go over this one. What are the characteristics of the Islamic liberation struggle in North America? Then we skip and say, our strategy and tactics emerge out of those characteristics, which we'll be dealing with as we go along. So now we have 2020 coming up. But we have things in our mind, not my mind. Resistance movement in North America, we talk about this. National War of Liberation. These are points of view that you hear at the United Nations and all those places. You don't hear these, you would not hear none of these terms out at Dar al-Hijra. You wouldn't hear none of these terms out at Adams Center. You wouldn't hear any of these terms, basically, at any masjid in the region. As-Sabiqun Liberation Organization, As-Sabiqun Liberation Movement, National Mobilization. All of this relates to what our thinking is at this time when we talk about national liberation. A lot of this, like we'll be passing out a lot of folders from now on. Like tonight when I go out to Dar al-Hijra, I run down to Staples again and try to get a few more extra flyers to put in the folders. So we'll be passing out more. I think I gave you a couple of those folders.
Well, no, not the folders, but I got the 2 sheets of paper.
Oh, okay. Well, we have a few folders.
Okay.
But here's what all of this is to put pressure on the Masjid in the region. They can help us and not help us, and it's okay. We'll still be getting our face and our ideas all around this area. So we want to put pressure on the Masjid of the region. And even, not to make ourselves famous, but a human interest. We'll probably have a flyer per week for a while, you know. The other thing I want to mention is revival starts from the masjid. So, in the recent times, you'll see me back in my office. I already cleaned some of the stuff out. I'll be back in my office. And I won't go through the story of why I eased away from the office or the masjid in general. There's times when you wouldn't see me coming out here at all. But the movement, revival, starts from the masjid. And as we go along, you'll see why, what we're doing. There's an MLK type of heroism that we're dealing with, or to the max Mandelaism. Each one of those people had peace as their principle. And when, well, Mandela didn't at first, but when he became the president, he overlooked everything that they had done to him and his family. So for the last 5 or 6 years, we've been talking about Mandelaism. This might have been 8 or 9 right now. It's a utopian concept. It's overlooking what your enemies have done because that's the best thing to do. There are other things you can do, but that's the best thing you can do. So when we look at Oakland, we look at a plot that, number one, in Oakland, over 50 years ago, 50 years ago, we established what we call East Oakland Enterprises. It was a local enterprise zone. I know we've said it many times, but Oakland was just the right size too. New York, it might not have worked. Oakland was just the right size, man. About 400,000 people, and East Oakland was perfect. So what we did was, there's rules for economic progress. Number one, money comes into the community. Number two, it don't go right out. It circulates in the community. They say money in the Jewish community circulates 11 times. That means the shop guy gets some, the mechanic gets some. Everybody gets a piece of that money. In the black community, especially some years ago, on the 1st and the 15th, money came in the black community and it went straight out to drugs, alcohol, and all of that type of thing. And when it went to a business, it was a Chinaman, it was a Korean, it was an Arab. It wasn't us getting the money. In fact, sometimes in D.C. it's hard to find a greasy spoon. You know, and it's hard to find some grits and eggs and stuff like that sometimes. I mean, that stuff is difficult. In other words, what happened to us? What happened to us, it's a long story. We became dependent. So our economic enterprise zone was like this. We didn't send money out of the community, we brought money in the community, and it circulated. Now in those days, Cadillacs was the status. Everybody, all these young guys driving Cadillacs and getting money, they thought this was great, right? It never happened again after that. All the other guys were mainly, Felix and all them, was drug dealers. even some of my friends directly after that. So they dealt drugs, they got money, their organization got money, but didn't nobody else get no money. You see, that is the thing, that's the difference. Now, I want you to understand what they did in Oakland, what they're doing in Oakland right this minute. Mukhtar and Khadijah, they have influenced our community in what ways? The school is closed. All the property in the school is gone. Everything in the school is gone. All the computers, everything is gone. In the buildings across the street, I would say we had $20,000 worth of tools there. Just tools. Gone. Compressors, anything you could name. Painters. Gone. The masjid is closed every day except Friday for an hour or two when they go there and do Jumu'ah. Ten years ago, the focus of Islam was in East Oakland. So the property and all of that, the school, you saw kids going from the school to the masjid to pray. In fact, Mukhtar used to take them from the masjid, from the school. He used to escort them to the masjid to pray. All right. All Islamic activity basically in Oakland at the time, you go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, was in East Oakland. Here's what they did. Right now, they closed down all the activity in East Oakland. Remember, they didn't close down. The school is closed. Mukhtar